Today, I'm in Highlands, New Jersey, at a place called Hartshorn Woods Park. What appears to be a normal park with hiking trails, fishing spots, and picnic areas used to be one of the United States' most important strategic defense sites because it's located at the highest point on the entire eastern seaboard. During World War II, the government purchased this land because of its high elevation and essentially turned it into a major military installation, given the task of protecting New York City from a potential enemy attack. This installation was named the Navesink Military Reservation. The remains of the reservation have been restored and can be viewed today. So let's go learn something. It's really hot out today, so bear with me. In 1669, this entire plot of land was owned by one of the first settlers of this area, a Quaker from Hathorne, England named Richard Hartshorn. He owned almost all the land in northeast Monmouth County, including what we now know today as the Highlands and Sandy Hook. If you've ever seen a map of New Jersey, Sandy Hook is the little peninsula that extends towards New York City on the east coast. Sandy Hook is also a place that's really rich in history, but that's for another time. It wasn't until the mid-20th century that the descendants of Richard Hartshorn sold a piece of this property to the government to build a military base here. When you come here, the first thing you'll notice is this huge concrete battery. 600 feet long, this thing used to house two 16-inch caliber guns, and it was built to withstand aerial as well as naval bombardments. The Army built 20 of these 16-inch batteries in total, with only 14 of them being armed. This was one of the 14, and the only one in the state of New Jersey. This is Battery Lewis. And just to give you an idea of the kind of firepower we're talking about here, this thing could shoot a 16-inch armor-piercing shell 26 miles offshore. Battery Lewis was named after Isaac Newton Lewis, a graduate from the United States Military Academy at West Point. Lewis is perhaps best known as an Army officer and a prolific inventor, one of his best-known inventions being the Lewis gun. The Lewis gun was a light machine gun that was used mostly during World War I, but was not discontinued until 1942. The gun was not immediately adopted by the United States, but was used pretty heavily by British and French troops before being used by the US Army. The Lewis gun was effectively used by infantry, but because of its light weight and because it is cooled by air, it was also mounted onto planes. In fact, it has the distinction of being the first machine gun to be fired by plane. As technology advanced, the Lewis gun became obsolete and was abandoned during World War II. Now, this is not the original gun that was mounted here at Battery Lewis. After the war, the original guns that were placed here became obsolete and they ended up being removed and scrapped. The gun that's here now was moved here a few years ago and is originally from the battleship USS New Jersey, or Big J as she's affectionately called. Now, we can do a whole video about the USS New Jersey, and maybe we will at some point, but what you need to know is that the ship saw action in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Lebanese Civil War, and the Persian Gulf. She is also the most decorated battleship in the history of the US Navy and can be visited in Camden, where she is docked and used as a museum. But that's a story for another video. To me, it's kind of crazy to think that this gun barrel may have possibly partook in several naval engagements and fired upon targets in a bunch of different wars. Now it sits here as a representation of what Battery Lewis once looked like, because the old guns were probably very similar to this one. Now I know what you're thinking. Was Battery Lewis ever actually fired? Well, yes and no. Though fortunately, the battery was never used for its intended purpose, it was test fired once and caused windows in nearby houses to shatter. See these anchors here along the walls and on the ceiling? That's to keep this thing in place because the recoil from shooting this thing is so powerful that it would have easily knocked the gun off the base. Between the two guns is this big tunnel that was used for storage and to quickly move ammunition and other supplies between the two guns. Right now the gate is locked, but on the weekends the park conducts free tours where you can walk through the tunnel and stop at different rooms along the way to learn about what life was like for the men stationed here at the battery, and how ammunition and other supplies were stored and transported through the tunnel. Following the path down the hill and toward the ocean, you could spot the remnants of two smaller guns that once protected the bay and the Navesink River below. At the bottom of the hill is Battery 219. It was equipped with two 6-inch caliber guns over 25 feet in length that could be fired at a rate of 6 rounds per minute. And this is what Battery 219 would have looked like. And that about does it for the Navesink Military Reservation. If you ever find yourself in the area, stop by Hartshorn Woods Park and check it out. Maybe go for a picnic or a hike along one of the many trails here and enjoy some of the amazing views of Sandy Hook or New York City off in the distance. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram @SearchingForHistory. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next spot.